This is Queer from the Other Side.
Your queer approach to everything from the paranormal and supernatural realms.
With no subject left unexplored.
I'm Shauna, your resident witch with a talent for hunting ghosts and connecting with Earth's energy.
I'm Alexander, your in-house skeptic, with my own ghost stories and obsession with outer space. But will I ever believe?
And I'm Derek, your on-air spiritualist on a mission to awaken souls to ground their spiritual power into their physical experience, bridging heaven and earth.
Get ready to explore.
Here we go.
The show starts now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Queer from the Other Side. I'm Shauna Leilani.
I'm Alexander, your resident skeptic. Although, the more I'm researching and stuff, I'm just like, what if? Yeah.
I think I'm going to end up becoming the resident skeptic. I think we're gonna switch.
Give it to me all. Yes.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. So we have our maybe skeptic and
I'm Derek, and I'm again your resident alien. And I think when we get into more of that, then you'll really both be skeptics after hearing my stories.
Well, and I said space seed, and you're like, no, it's not space seed.
we can make it space seed for you. You're our little space seed.
You're the space seed.
You're the resident.
But it's star seed, right?
Yeah, star seed.
Is it like a star blew up and the seeds came to Earth, and then we're aliens? Is that what it is?
We are made, literally physically made of the same
Stardust,
elements of stars. So I think you have something.
I'm a star, baby.
A little space seed.
We're going to do a whole episode, though, about star seeds.
Yeah, star seeds and extraterrestrial consciousness. That's amazing. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
I think that's going to end up being more than just one. We're going to end up having a whole of all of that. And that's where I will be in the corner sweating, trying not to cry. I don't know. I think space seeds, I think I'm okay with that. We'll see. We'll see when we really get there and dive real deep how I'm going to really feel. It's once we get into the grays and the X-filing kind of aliens. That's nope.com.
Sure. I mean, well, there's extraterrestrials that are high vibration, and then also extraterrestrials that have less evolved storylines. So there's everything all across the board, just like there's human beings all across the board. So I think
some of the lower evolved human beings.
The same thing with spirits. We have angelic and the ascended masters, all of these things. Well, I think ascended masters are considered spirits, wouldn't you? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then we can go down into ghosts, who we will get into our resident ghost later in this episode, and then we have demons and all sorts of stuff. So it's all kind of parallel. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Well, we just kind of dove right on into all of our stuff. We are your queer approach to all things paranormal and supernatural with nothing left unexplored. And today we're going to be exploring ghosts. Yay! One of my favorite things.
Boo.
That's
a gay ghost.
Boo.
Boo. As we die, I already had a ghost experience over the past week or so. I don't know where you guys are at.
I got a story of my experience,
okay.
But yeah.
All right. So my experience, it started out very mundane. I finished eating lunch. I was at home by myself, and I had this empty seltzer can in front of me, and it was not alcoholic. I was completely sober in that moment. Just
how disappointing
putting that there. But I was just staring at it, and I saw it start to just move, just very, very subtly. And my first thought, because my paranoia, I was like, oh, fuck, there's a bug in it. That's the first thing I thought. And that's when I was really scared. But I'm like, well, if there was a bug, it would have moved more. It would have been knocked over. But
I love how you're in the occult, but you're scared by a bug. Demons be damned, but there's a bug.
One day you're going to watch me. You're going to see me encounter a cockroach. And I will spill my spaghetti. I am done.
Wait, why is there spaghetti and a cockroach in this story?
Because I'm a Strega. I'm Italian. Everything comes back to spaghetti. Come on. No, I can't. I lose all. No, it's pretty pathetic. But I own it. I can't kill them. I can't get that close to it. I can't. I'm helpless.
Funny to me.
I'm not afraid of wasps though, or spiders. They're fine. Cockroaches, no deal.
No.
So anyway, back to my seltzer can. There was in fact no cockroach. So now I was not afraid because now I was like, fuck yeah, it's a ghost. I was so excited. But it happened for about 15 seconds before it occurred to me, I should record this. I should get a video of this. And I did. And I sent it to you guys, almost immediately. Mm-hmm. And it's very subtle. So it's not something where you see the can fly across the room. You have to really be looking at it. And I just caught it because I happened to be staring off into space at the can when it happened. But there was nothing else going on. The video itself was about 15 seconds. So this is about 30-ish seconds of this happening, which is actually a very long time when you think about it. And I still have no idea exactly who it was. I didn't feel anything. There was nothing going on that like my senses picked up so much as this thing happened. And then I was really excited. And I thought about it later. I'm like, okay, what could have caused this? And I think that I accidentally opened a portal in my house. And there's two things to this is how I think it happened. And so I'm going to also blame my kid. So I have a toddler at home and he likes to play with my ghost hunting equipment, right? He likes the K2 meters.
Well, and we talked about kids have like this connection.
They do.
They're fresh. What, I think you put it like fresh. Or...
They're just from the other side of the veil.
Yeah.
They're fresh.
Yeah.
They remember.
Yeah.
They're all in tune. We haven't shut that down in them yet. And yeah. So he'll say things and see things, but he really likes the K2 meter because he likes the light. And so, like, we taught him, we'd, like, wave it over and be like, are you haunted? So he'll play, then he'll put it to his board and be like, am I haunted? And he'll hold this up, like, are you haunted? And I was watching him do that one day. I'm like, I probably shouldn't let him do that because what if it opens something? I mean, it's not like I'm letting him play with a ghost box or a Ouija board, but it's still a tool that I specifically use for spirit communication.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't let him. But, you know, so there's that. What I really think it is I just got done reading Adam Berry's Goodbye Hello, a fantastic book. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed being able to read about his experiences. And while I was doing that, I was imagining them in my head. I was remembering some of my own ghost hunting experiences, and I was getting really jealous. That's really what it was. I was getting so jealous, and I was like, I want these experiences. I want to go watch like a freaking, you know, reenactment from the spirits in Gettysburg. Like that's what he opens the book with, just amazing, profound experiences. And so I think I like got so thirsty for some like ghost interaction.
Like ghost like shut up. And when you sent us the video, I was like, oh, it's probably condensation. And like you, like, I didn't even say that, but you texted me, you're like, oh, when I checked for condensation, it wasn't like
there wasn't like the can itself wasn't sweating. There was no ring on the glass because I checked all of which is what a good ghost hunter should do. You should always try and debunk it, right? So I checked everything that I could think of. Yes, the air conditioner was on, but again, an air conditioner wouldn't twist it that way. Yeah. Nor is my air conditioner that good, unfortunately. But so there was nothing that I could really say did that. So that was a really exciting thing, and I really think it's because I was reading that book. I was so into it. I'm like, I miss doing this. I miss these experiences, and I had a really bad day that day. So I feel like it was just this friendly
like all
ghost.
that energy coming in.
Yeah, that was just like, hey, cheer up. Here you go. Little twitchy twitch. But then on Monday, I was hanging out, same table, same room, everything with my cousin at my dining room table. And the chair across from me, just like, I heard it kind of like tip, like make a noise. And in my head, I was like, oh, my dog's probably there doing something. And then it just really slowly just tipped itself over. And my cousin was the one, because it didn't even register with me, like I should be bothered by this, because I was still in my head blaming the dog. You know, blame the dog. Yeah. But she was like, your chair just threw itself on the floor. I'm like, well, it did it politely. Like it could have broken, but it didn't. So thank you for whoever that was. So I have some spiritual cleanup at home.
Like,
I think it's really like when you want something or you obsess about something enough, you attract it, you know? And I think that's really what I did. Was I wasn't in like my professional psychic ghost hunting mind of careful what you wish for. I was in the I'm thirsty for ghosts mindset, and I brought it in.
That's what will happen. That's what will happen. You become a magnet for the thing they're thinking about. And if you've awakened certain levels of power within yourself and you become a powerful person, you can manifest those things really easy just by your thought. So if the thought has so much feeling attached to it, you can really open up those spaces. And while you're telling this story, it reminds me of how I have these screws in. So I have a chair at home, and for some reason, it always unscrews itself. I know, it's wild. And I'm like, how is it doing that? Because I'll go tighten the whole thing. This happened this week. This has been about maybe 5 or 6 times that it's unscrewed itself. And it's one of those big bolts that's like insane. Really long. I'm not kidding. And it screws in. All of a sudden I'm at the desk and I'll hear, and I'm like, no, not again. And I look at it, and sure enough, the bolt has come out. Now, the funny thing is, you'd be like, okay, well, maybe over time of moving the chair, maybe it's come loose. There's something going on here. But I also had in my bathroom, you know, in the light switch, you have to screw in horizontally, right? So all of a sudden one day, the screw horizontally unscrewed itself and came out of the wall in the bathroom and fell down. I kid you not. I was like, okay, so it's not just because it's vertical and for some reason one is doing it, there's something else going on here, because they also showed me that it was horizontal when the screw came out.
Yeah, I have a potential fix for that. So when things like this happen in my world, I give them their own thing to play with. So maybe you need to find like maybe you need to just go to the hardware store, just get like a random thing with screws and be like, this one is yours.
Yeah.
You can unscrew this one.
Yeah.
But you have to leave my chair alone because I don't want to get hurt.
Yeah, that's such a good idea.
Give them their own to play with. A lot of times that helps.
Yeah, because they apparently like to screw. So, and they try to come up underneath. I'm like, that's not gonna.
Girl, you got a gay ghost. Like, screw you.
Boo.
Boo, boo. Well, since we're talking about experiences, I think I told you about this. I had such a vivid dream, and it was so vivid. My mom passed this last year, and so every dream I've had with her has not been a good dream. But this dream was, I was living this whole separate life. I had a girlfriend, which we know that was. And in the dream, I was calling my mom on the phone, and I was talking to her, and I was parked in a car, like off the side of the road, because I was telling her I was coming home. And then during the conversation, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, you're not here. You're dead. And she's like, what? She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Mom, no, you're not supposed to be here. And she's like, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. And then I remember, like, in the dream, I said, oh, this must be a dream. But I could feel the sun coming through the windshield on, like, half of my arm. I could smell the must of the car because it was an old car for some reason when I was in. And then I said, well, if this is a dream, pinch yourself and then you'll wake up. And so in the dream, I was pinching myself, but I could feel it. It was real. Like, it was so real. The smells, the texture, feeling the heat, and what I was talking about. And I said, no, I'm not dreaming. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is my life. It was a dream that my mom had died. And then when I woke up, there was like a few minutes. I had no clue where I was. Like, and I was in my house, obviously, but it wasn't registering that it was my house. And I didn't know what was real or not because I could feel so much, and I felt like I was living this whole other life. And it was creepy. And we've been talking about different universes and different parallel lives and all that. But the fact that I kept pinching myself and I could feel it, and I wasn't waking up because I was still in the dream.
There's so much to unpack with that. So first of all, it was a nice dream talking to your mom, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, because she was like, what are you talking about? And we were talking about, like, we're going to have hot dogs that weekend, which, was what we would usually talk about. What fun thing are we going to eat this weekend?
So you got a visit from your mom. So that's wonderful. So first of all, you got a visit, and those are really nice. And in my experience, I feel like when it's a spirit of someone that you were very close to, you don't get visits that often, So I'm so happy that you got it, because, like, at least for me and my experience and the people I know, it's a rare occurrence. So I'm happy that you got that.
Well, I've had many dreams about her, but they've all been horrible nightmares. I mean, I can't even go into detail because they're pretty gruesome nightmares, which is crazy to me because I was so close to her.
But they probably aren't visits. That's probably your unconscious trying to work through, like, loss and grief and all. That's your nightmare that you're living, just translated in an unconscious way. This was an actual, like, visit. So that's beautiful, and I love that.
But it was so real.
It was real because you have a knack for astral travel. It's the same reason why you got your ghost boo that comes in and cuddles you every 6 months. Like, you leave your body when you're sleeping, and we can go to so many places when that happens. In this case, you went into something that was parallel, where you were still having the experience of losing your mom, but in a way that you could still call her.
And this is the cool part about that, is that you became aware of it. You're expanding your consciousness into a certain capability now, that once you do that, you realize that reality is not just so one-sided. You actually got to experience it more than a dream. You got to wake up into it. So you get to have a real experience with it rather than something that's just a dream that will fade away. You're now going to remember this good memory.
It affected me that
forever.
whole day, by the way, because I felt like I was in the wrong place. Because I felt like there's some other life going on there.
Yeah, and then when you wake up and you don't know where you are yet, that's such a jarring,
like, I was seeing my furniture in, like, my bedroom, the view, but it wasn't registering that was mine. So weird.
Yeah, because you were still coming back to this plane because you were in some other plane that you also existed.
Yep, at 100%.
Yeah, so...
And I had a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Alternate universes, man. You're like,
weird
that's
is
a weird
that?
one.
That's awesome.
Not
I
weird
mean,
that
welcome
I
to
talked
my
past
life.
mom.
I experience like other timelines all the time, and you tap into it because you're getting awarenesses. So you're just getting awarenesses of other realities and how everything really works. So the more we talk and do this, and the more that you keep doing your deep dives, you're going to open up levels of consciousness, and you're opening up levels of your brain that can access that level of information. So this is going to be so exciting.
Well, and you know, like, I'm the skeptic,
We're
right?
watching
But
you
this was so
blossom
real.
from the little witchlet that you are.
Yes.
Right? Well, I mean, but that is, and it's going to going back to like we attract what we really want. I really wanted a ghost experience, so I got it. You really want to be abducted by aliens
So badly. Well, no, I don't know now because my obsession, I've gone down this rabbit hole of all these military people that their interviews and people that have written at the end of their lives, and they just tell all the secrets about how aliens have been part of our government life and like among us for so many years. So I'm down that whole rabbit hole too.
Well, maybe you'll get your alien encounter, like something.
I'm not so sure I want it now. No, now I know all this information.
Just
right?
ask for a nice, sexy one.
Yeah.
And
Girl,
then,
I can't even get a sexy real person. Can you imagine an alien on top of that? I'd
You're
get
gonna
ET,
do that,
right?
and he's gonna get a succubus instead. Watch out. That we're gonna have to go give him an exorcism. Watch out. You know what? I think I saw a UFO about a week ago too. It was like it wasn't like this big, profound, like crazy thing. I didn't lose time or anything. I was walking up to my house. I got out of the car, and it was like that, like kind of like twilighty where it's like the sun's up, but you can see some of the stars start to come, and there's one that just looked too bright, and I was like, that's not Venus. And I looked, and it was kind of like tinted like orange. So I'm like, oh, it must be Mars. I'm like, no, it's not. And I'm watching it, and I tell my husband, I'm like, do you see that? What is that? Is it a satellite? What is that? And he's like, it's a star. He's like, oh wait, it's gone. And he says it's gone. I'm still looking at it, and I'm like, no, it's right there. He's like, no, it disappeared. And then he's like, wait, it's back. And then it's gone for me.
wow.
Like at the same, because at first I thought he was messing with me,
Yeah.
you know, but then he's like, oh, it's back. I found it. It's here now. It moved. But then it was gone, and I couldn't find it.
And there's a new app, I think it's called Enigma or something, and it popped up in my feed because I'm watching all these videos. But it's an app where people report UFO sightings. So it's streaming, it's 24/7. So at any point in the day, you can see where people are seeing UFOs.
Careful how much you're on that, because you really are going to manifest this UFO thing.
Yeah.
So careful.
If I'm not here next episode, you know why.
I want to go back to your dream real quick. So it felt very real. You could feel this, and
I could feel the heat. I could feel
it.
the shadow on my arm. I could smell, like, for some reason, I was, like I said, in an old-fashioned car. It was like an old Cadillac or something, which my grandma used to drive Cadillacs, but it had this musty smell. I mean, it was so real. I could feel the material of my pants, and then when I was pinching myself, I could feel the material.
My question about, so you said that you had a girlfriend, and you're
Yeah.
like, that's the weird part. The whole dream, you're like, that was the weird part. But in the dream, did that feel weird, or did just everything felt normal?
No,
like
it totally felt normal
everything
that she
felt
was my
normal.
girlfriend. And the reason I was pulled over was because she had to go to the pet store and get food for whatever pet she had. And so I watched her go in, and I was like, oh, I'll call my mom while she's in there.
Okay.
And then I could see her like getting rabbit food or whatever. I mean, that's how real it was.
Yeah, and everything felt. See, I think you really want some, because everything felt normal. That's the
Yeah.
thing, because when you have a dream and something's off, at some point you're like, oh, I'm dreaming, kind of like what you did, but everything about that was normal until you realized that your mom.
It was,
should've-
it was halfway during the conversation. I was like, oh, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be here. So weird. So weird.
That's so exciting, though.
It is exciting.
That's exciting. But we'll see what dreams you have next. You should start keeping a dream journal and keep track of all of this stuff.
Well, it's funny because I suffer from insomnia. Like, if I get 4 or 5 hours of sleep at night, that's big for me. So, like, when I am like that asleep, it's odd. It's
because you're connected to so much energy.
It's just going to get more intense from here, especially with doing the show and the things that we're talking about. Like you said, you're
Yeah.
unlocking different parts of your mind, and careful what you're spending time paying attention to, because you'll bring more and more of that in.
Well, it's funny because we talk about good energy, and it's shifting in my real life in terms of people that I hang out with. I've said goodbye to, not like I'm never going
Right.
to speak to you again, but I'm drawing away from negative energy because I realize how draining it is,
Yeah.
and that it's not a positive effect on other parts of my life, and I'm becoming more cognizant of that.
Yeah.
And I'm letting little things go because it just doesn't matter. It takes up energy where it shouldn't take up energy. I'm not getting bent out of shape over small stuff.
just embrace that, because at least like, so in my practice, we have like big definitive stages of spiritual development. You get like, your dedication, you have your initiations, all of these things. Whenever you get to that point where you start preparing for those, you're going to have huge life shifts, like just huge. And the trash takes itself out basically. And the best thing to do is to allow it to, which normally we want to hold on to it and be like, no, this has been a fixture in my life for years. And comfort. I love this. Yeah. And you just, you're having a spiritual awakening.
Woo!
So, yeah. Welcome to the club, baby.
Yeah. When you go to something that I think would be really good for you though, with insomnia stuff. And if there is a lot of energy, because you become a light for that spirit energy. It's like you become a beacon, and then it's like, oh my God, he can pick me up, or the energy, it'll engage with you and keep you going. So it's really like every single night, I'm always literally clearing my energy away from anything from the day, from any person, people, spirit energies. I literally I work with dragon energies too, so I ask the dragons to burn away any lower frequencies.
Wait. What?
Oh yeah, dragons are a thing
dragons.
too.
Yeah.
No.
Welcome to this world. Yeah.
Why do you think people are so obsessed with things like House of the Dragon? It's not just because it's a fantasy. It comes from a real place. That's why ancient cultures all believe in dragons. It's a whole thing.
But aren't dragons just like dinosaurs? Isn't that what they are?
Well, we're not talking about dragons in the sense of a dinosaur. We're talking about the spirit of the dragon.
Yeah.
Where does a dragon come from?
Well, now a modern day dragon would be a horse. Is what, like in a lot of spiritual practices, they call horses like the land dragon. Yeah.
You just clicked something for me by saying that. That's why
I
they
don't
come
understand.
like that. Oh my God!
So a dragon is just more of like a scent. It's not like the winged, fire-breathing creatures.
That's how they appear for a lot of people, though. That's
like
how they
that.
appear and how people kind of translate it. All sorts of mythology,
There's angelic realms which dragons exist in. There's also darker realms which dragons exist in.
Do they talk? Are they sentient? Are they just flying
how
around?
We were talking about like star seeds and how people say, "Oh, I'm a star seed." I've actually encountered people that are like, "Oh, I'm draconian," and they. Yeah, so that's a thing.
That's
too.
a whole nother level.
Okay, we just activated the skeptic
I'll
again.
tell you. Well, that's the thing with the dragon
like,
thing, though. So when I did a past life regression once, it was very intense. There was a lot of heavy energy that was released with that person, and I had to go do a training session for somebody at the Sunset Tower, and I was like, okay. That was heavy. I gotta meditate. So I sat at the edge of my bed and I just started breathing, and I was just like, I'm grounding myself. I'm clearing my energy. All of a sudden, clear as day, there was this huge red dragon in my vision, and I was like, what the heck is going on? And this is how I experienced it for the first time. And I was like, what is going on? Is that a dragon? And then all of a sudden, flames. This dragon had come to me and was burning away in my vision all of the energy that was around me. It was red. It was magnificent. I was like sitting there going like, is this really happening right now? Why am I seeing this? And then right after the dragon had done that, I saw thousands of little balls of light lift into the air like this. And they all kind of like went up into some other realm or dimension. I don't know what happened, but that's how I knew. I was like, because I don't expect it. It just came to me and appeared to me and started burning away energy around me from the session so that I could be clear. It was wild.
That's a big reach for
anyway,
me.
but
I'm gonna research these dragons.
do it. But back to you. This is what I'm giving you an example of what I do, because I can sleep soundly and I have everything up the wazoo that tries to connect, especially with working with people or doing readings for events, things, right? So I always separate my energy from anything that isn't mine. And I'll say that. I separate my energy from anything that's not mine. Thank you, angels and guides, for working with me to help me clear that energy. Thank you, dragons, for burning away any lower frequencies. I clear my chakras. I literally go down the line.
Spiritual hygiene is important when you dive into this realm enough, because it does. So maybe it sounds like for the most part things have been good and bad. You have a little bit of both. So I was going to say, just imagine like a switch in your head and like you have to like turn it off at night. That might be something to do too until you get a better footing.
I've tried everything. I've tried meditation. I've tried hypnotherapy, like those things that you listen to. And I mean, my insomnia is like for real.
Start a process though like this, like literally switch it up. Talk to spirit and say no. I put up a shield. You have your aura, your electromagnetic field. I activate mine and I put up blue and white light around it, and I say I activate the blue and white shield around me. I will go to sleep. I put it around my dog. I'm like, we'll have no interruptions tonight. it's sleepy time. You know, I sleep really well because I do these processes. So if I didn't, though, I know when I'm lazy. And let's say I come home from an event or something and I'm lazy and I just don't do it. That's when shit happens. Weird shit happens. So it's like, that's my fault. I didn't do my spiritual hygiene. Just start a little practice and see if anything changes for you that might be beneficial.
All right.
Something to start with.
Yeah.
I have dragons now, like all through
Ooh,
my
have
He
fun.
totally ignored everything you
I know,
just
he's
said.
just
He
like,
was right there with
dragons?
dragons.
Are they really?
He's imagining himself as Khaleesi now.
Yeah,
You know?
as he should. You know, you have a little dragon, you just haven't met it yet.
Well, when I was growing up, I had a little stuffed dragon that I always had with me.
Oh, see, you were Khaleesi since
You were already
the
connected because
Yeah.
the veil was thinner for you at that point, so you
Yep.
could still connect.
Well, I was always obsessed with like King Arthur and like all of that mythology, which we know dragons play a big part. But I figured that they were just like dinosaurs.
There's actually a lot of mythos, though, that kind of goes with like the King Arthur mysteries themselves that
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of like neo-pagans still
Yes.
lean on in their own traditions, too. So it's really interesting, like what we grew up with as fairy tales, like evolved spiritually into something a lot bigger than we realize.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about all sorts of stuff on like deep dives for ghosts, for all sorts of interesting things for you, for dreams and dragons. And you have the ghost of a handyman in your home. So we have
a carpenter.
Loves to
Yeah.
screw,
Yeah.
just loves it.
those of you at home are probably like, either I have a story just like this. You guys should totally share it with us. You can always email us, queerfromtheotherside@gmail.com. But let's talk about ways that we can give people at home knowledge and know how to maybe try and communicate with spirits as well, and kind of do it at-home ghost hunt, if you will. And the first rule of an at-home ghost hunt is to not do it at home. Okay, don't do it at home.
Go to somebody else's house.
Go to somebody else's house. Don't do as I say, not as I do. Okay, like very bad, very big faux pas that I accidentally, like it should have at least been on purpose that I opened this portal. It wasn't. Find a historic place near you, even if it's a park. I mean, we're really lucky to live in the LA area because there's a lot
So
of
much
outdoor haunted stuff too, because there's just history everywhere. And it doesn't matter where you are. There's history where you are too. Maybe you just don't know it yet. So you have to kind of have a love of history and a love of research to find these things. But what are some tools that we can use at home? The first thing that I'll say that's a really good one is your phone is very handy. We don't love using our phones because it can mess up readings, right? With like the electricity, or I can't tell you how many times it's driven me crazy when we're doing an investigation and we're in like a blacked out room and I can see someone's phone light up in their pocket, like that kind of stuff. But in a pinch, or if you're on a budget, you can use your phone because there's very valuable tools that carries, which is your digital recorder to record voices, and it has a camera. You know, both like just like a still camera and a video recorder camera. These are really huge things. I also appreciate the timer on the voice recorder. These things are all you can really need to kind of start with, and we can kind of explore from there. But those are the basics that I like people to have: is a digital recorder, a camera, and a pen and paper. Okay.
We were talking about, you did a ghost hunting thing at this place at this bar, and I took a friend and we took pictures, and I was telling you all these orbs were all over these pictures, like it was insane, and that was just with my cell phone.
Exactly, and you just like never know what you're going to catch. I mean, I've caught orbs just trying to take selfies at work, and I've caught orbs hanging around. We just recently moved stores, and someone sent me a picture of the owner sitting on top of this bookshelf, and there's an orb in front of her. I'm like, was there a light fixture here that there is nothing there for it to refract off? So it's just like, you never know what you're going to catch. So if you want to take a picture because you think there might be a ghost, or you're trying to just, get like some clear footage of where you are, like the number one rule is take your shots in bursts of 3. So always take 3 pictures, because if it's in all 3 pictures, there's probably a logical, mundane explanation for it.
Like something on the lens or something.
Exactly. That's where you're standing. There's some light bouncing off of it and something of that nature. So you always want to take everything in a burst of 3, which I have to say that really prepared me for the age of the selfie. Like it really did. Just get used to taking 100 pictures to find the one good one.
But it is odd, with our technology, we still don't have a great ghost recording, like a ghost walking across the room. We don't have, it's very grainy, or it's like, it could be whatever. Like, we still don't have.
But well, no, I think with today's technology, it's really hard to believe any of the ones that you have too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
where
'cause
it
people
gets
like,
challenging.
It's CGI, now it's AI.
And it's also
Yeah.
picking up spirit. So that's a different vibrational expression. So the fact that it even picks up anything at all, I think where I'm amazed at. My friend has video surveillance camera footage where she goes, Derek, look at our outside camera, and you can literally see there's a green person who's tall and I can probably pull it up. A green person who's tall and an orange person who's shorter, and it's standing. I kid you not. I'll have to pull it up. And it's standing not like up the steps of the porch, at the bottom of the porch. Just there's these two spirit entities that are those two colors are just standing there, staring at the house.
It's like black-eyed
that's
kid stuff
creepy.
right there.
It's
Absolutely
wild.
not.
That is creepy.
Yeah, so but the fact that it even that a home surveillance camera picked that up in its pixelated orange form was still amazing to me, because I could see that it picked up the colors. And this was in the middle of the night. So I think it's amazing when it can even pick up orbs, and that we can even capture that kind of frequency.
Things to think about when we look at orbs, because first of all, my first set of like cameras that I used for ghost hunting was home surveillance cameras. And this was before we all had them in our home. That's when like that would have been a weird thing if you had a bunch of cameras in your house,
Yeah.
So like that's what I would use. And because you can set them up and just have them stationary where you are in different corners to try and catch something while you went around with your handheld to, see what else was there, because it's so important to try and gather as much evidence as you can. Because when we're ghost hunting, it's not to just say, oh, I had an experience, I think I felt something. Like, that's wonderful, but it's to try and capture the evidence of it.
Yeah.
So that's where the cameras are really handy, and having more than one is great. Also, if you have access to some that are still film, because then you have digital and film, it's just so wonderful to see the difference. And the same thing, digital recorders, because then we get EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon, which a lot of us have heard or seen on any of the ghost hunting shows, because it's still such a valuable tool. And the concept behind this is that human ears aren't sensitive enough to pick up spirit voices, but that our technology can, so we can catch them on recording. And I remember the first time I went to a paranormal convention in Vegas, we all, like me and my group, we all got new toys. We were so excited. And we just found a random cemetery and went. We had all of our equipment on and all this and that. And we stopped at this headstone. And I still remember it. The guy's name was Brian. He was only 21 years old. And I had my voice recorder going, and my teammate goes, "Wow, Brian, you were so young." And then you can hear a spirit whisper back, "Brian." And I'm like, "What?" It was fantastic. It was so fantastic. Your face, you're like, oh. But these are things that we can use that are just so inexpensive, it's not out of reach. What I will say is, using things like this, the number one tool that you'll have is patience. Okay, and people don't think about that. You're doing a 5-hour investigation because you have insomnia and you're a badass and you're going to talk to the spirit in your closet. That's fantastic, except then you have to go and review all your footage for probably another 10 hours. So it's that goes into it, where like you can look at, but you really have to have that patience, which is always like the bummer of it all. But I've caught so many really wonderful things, but you have to be really diligent, because a lot of times it's not something that's at the same octave as your voice. It's very low. It's a whisper. I used to go home and like connect it to my surround sound and just crank my surround sound and just like listen for what I could find. But I've caught so many weird things, and a lot of times it was in line with whatever we were talking about. It wasn't very often that the spirits would answer questions for us so much as it would chime in on what we were saying. So that was always a really interesting one too. So I think that these are really fantastic things we can use. One thing that I do like about using phones, which again, it's mostly a big no-no, but hey, like we're talking like DIY at home ghost hunting, we're going to use our phones. I was in New Orleans at an Oddfellows cemetery, and we were doing a tour with a friend of mine that lives out there, and she had all of us go find a tomb that called to us. She's like, "I want all of you guys at your own place. Just go. We're going to sit for a minute." I said, "Okay." I just went. I sat down. I pulled out my phone. I turned on my recorder, and I put it down on the floor. And I was like, "Hi, I'm Shauna. I want to talk to you." Just all like the regular things that you do, because manners are important with ghost hunting, okay? You have to introduce yourself. You have to be nice. This is their house, not yours. Don't be a jerk. Bottom line. So I did, and I was sitting there, and then that takes like maybe 5 seconds to introduce yourself. I sat there for a couple more seconds, and then I blinked and I looked, and the sky was dark. Like, it was already kind of sunset when this started, but I'm like, where'd the sun go? And I looked down, and like my timer said that it had been recording for over 5 minutes. And I was like, what? And then you want to know the worst part about this? I was with 2 of my friends on the tour that was led by my other friend. Those jerks left me there. So like, I lose time. Still don't know that I've had a paranormal experience.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's happening. I lose time. And then and no one's there. And so I had to wander around this dark cemetery by myself.
Gosh.
But then we found my other friend talking to himself at another grave. So he was having his own experience over there.
Yep.
But they left me, those jerks.
But like time works differently in the ghost. Like,
time works totally different because energy
there's
works
no
different
sense of
too.
time.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no sense of time, but we have sense of time because we have limited time in this body. That's why time is so important to us. I don't know where those 5 minutes went. There was nothing on that recording. It was just silence.
That's creepy.
And then you can hear
and
me.
I know you cannot be quiet for 5 minutes.
No,
so
I
like,
cannot. I cannot. And you hear it's just silence, and then you hear me go, what? Because I saw the time, and then you start hearing me talk to myself as I'm trying. Yeah, like, but that's where the timer, I feel, is a very important thing in a paranormal investigation, to have a sense of time. It's great to try and log your experiences when you start your investigation, what time you heard things and what have you, but to log it because you really don't understand how time's going to work in an investigation. So that's another really big one that I think are very important things that we can use with at-home things. But yes, it's very difficult to try and be quiet for 5 minutes, which makes EVP sessions very difficult.
what are some of the first questions that you should put out there? Like when you're ghost hunting, like you introduce yourself, and then what are good ways to get activity going? Like what kind of questions?
Well, it's always good to know a little bit about the spirit that you're trying to talk to, right? Because then we can kind of ask questions that might trigger them and things like that. But if you don't know and you're just like, I heard that the bridge at the end of town is haunted, let's go over there. You can start with just, are you okay with speaking to me? You know, do you have anything to say? We can say the generic things. How many spirits are here? I like to also ask, what year is it? Who's the president? Those kind of things, because they're not going to probably know, like, in present what's going on now, but this will give you a gauge of what time frame they're from. If you're going to speak with spirits that are from a time that is a lot older, I always like to ask them what they think about my makeup or the way I'm dressed, because it's very different fashion. And so they might think that's really weird.
You're fishing for compliments with these ghosts. You're like, so
what do
I
you
look
think
pretty
about-
to you? Yeah.
Oh, no, we've had ghosts insult us and call us sluts and stuff like that. Because, you know, you wear a lot of makeup and you're talking to a spirit from like the 1700s. They're like, harlot. I wish they were that articulate. But no, but you can ask, like, what do you think about my clothes or this or that? Like, is it okay that, like, I'm a female and I'm wearing pants? That might really bother them. Those kinds of things. One thing that always drives me nuts, though, and I just want to kind of put this out here, if you want to go ghost hunting, please don't wear glitter. And please don't wear rhinestones. And I see this a lot now. Like, you can't wear shiny stuff because that can reflect off of a camera and create an orb that's not really there. So you don't want to wear no glitter, no rhinestones, nothing super shiny. Like, even like your necklace is kind of big. So like if we had a lot of lights focused on you, that can do some weird stuff.
Yeah.
Same thing with cologne and perfume, because one way that spirits let their presence be known is through scent. And so if you have that, it's going to give a potentially false reading. So these are things to kind of consider as well, what you're going to wear. But so going back to other questions that you can ask, though, I like trigger objects, and so I'll ask questions with my trigger objects. For instance, I got to investigate an abandoned prison, and so I brought cigarettes with me. I was like, who wants a cigarette? And you could see all of this stuff light up. You could hear on there, yes. So you can do things like that, or like at the haunted bar that we've been to, one of my favorite things to do was ask the spirits, what kind of drink do you want? And we would record it to see what they would say. It was always whiskey.
Wow.
Always. But like you could ask that. So knowing, you know, where you are, a little bit about the spirit, you can ask those things or ask their name or something like that. Let's say that the spirit was known to like really, really hate dogs. Like you could ask them, like, do you have a pet dog? What do you know, something like that, just to try and get a response. I prefer to not do it in a way that would anger the spirit. It's one thing to get the spirit to share their experience or their opinion on, like, I hate dogs or whatever, which if you hate dogs, like, I don't know what to tell you, you're very odd. But to not provoke him, because you catch more flies with honey. And I know that there's a lot of like shows and things out there where people provoke the spirits a lot. These people also end up having a lot of weird things happen to them. And since we're still doing at home ghost hunting, we do not want weird things to happen to us. So don't menace the spirits.
Let me ask you a question. You just brought up going to the prison and asking this question. So a friend of mine messaged me yesterday, and I know she has a kid that has... We both know this kid has seen his spirit guides in so many different forms, running under the bed. He'll do psychic things. This is the same people with the people standing outside the house. Okay. So I know that he's seen, she'll tell me, she'll be like, hey, so-and-so, what did you just tell me earlier? Because she'll show me a video of him repeating it back to her. So they are visiting in San Jose right now, their family, and they went to Alcatraz. And I was like, ugh. And I like felt that immediately, and he's really sensitive. Like he'll pick up on, like, I just feel like he could pick up on that energy. So I told her, I was like, hey, can you just, make sure to, I said, there's a lot of trauma at that location. I was like, make sure to activate his like light field and make sure the vibration is lit up, and she understands what I'm talking about because she works with a lot of children who are sensitive or have connections to a lot of energies that influence them. And so she knows, she's like, oh my gosh, that's a good point. So the reason why I'm bringing it up is, what would you say to somebody that is going to, like, for sensitive people that are going to go to a place that has that much density and like traumatic events that have taken place, a lot of history, what's a good way for them to go to a location like that and still maintain a healthy energy field?
Spiritual hygiene is important. Like it really is important. It's interesting because when I first started ghost hunting with the group I was with, we would, some people would pray, people would like sage themselves or do all of these different things. And it was really interesting to see which people had zero experiences because of like the protection and the stuff that they put on and so on and so forth. So what I will say is I think it's important to be protected. And the first thing is to understand, what is your faith? Because if this is someone that's heavily involved in the church, like, and you say activate your light field, they're going to be like, what? What? So it might be like, well, take a cross with you or like a Saint Benedict key or something. And, say a prayer and state the intention first of, I want to be protected, but I would also like to have an experience. And you can really say that prayer to any deity. It doesn't matter, like what tradition, as long as it's something that's in alignment with you. I personally like to have black tourmaline with me.
What's that?
It's a crystal that's really protective. So that's what I like to use. And I'll always keep it with me because some people say it shuts them down. It doesn't shut me down. It shuts me down just enough that I can kind of live my everyday life and have some random things happen.
It's grounding.
Yeah. So I have that, and I will kind of just talk to my spirit guides and my ancestors. And I'm like, okay, I want to have these experiences. I want to be touched by a ghost tonight. Like whatever it is.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Oh, those succubus.
Boo. We are going to the Abbey later. So.
But what I also think is very important is to wash off when you're done. And so I can give you guys some examples of that too. But I think it's also important to understand the signs of a psychic attack, because I've actually been attacked on investigations and not known. I just thought I was having this really weird anxiety attack. But now that I'm more experienced and more educated, I know what was happening. So let's talk about that really quickly, just because I think if it's there and it's in the back of your mind, you'll know. So first of all, be aware of mood swings.
Yes.
Be very aware of mood swings. If you've had a really bad day, you've gotten a fight with somebody and you're already feeling a little too aggro, like just don't do the investigation. Like dip out, don't do it, because you're already welcoming in that kind of energy like attracts like. But be mindful, especially if it's like anger, rage, jealousy, sadness that's just very profound that comes out of nowhere. This also includes intrusive thoughts. That was the first thing that happened to me that night, that I didn't realize what was happening. I started having these weird intrusive thoughts. I'm like, wow, where did this come from? That's weird. And I kind of threw it out the window. We want to watch for anxiety.
Yes, that one's huge.
It's a really huge one. And sometimes it's really like starts kind of small, especially like, so I always say I'm 50% anxiety. So it's always there anyway, but like just like the little spikes, you have to watch that and be mindful of those things. Confusion is another one. Also, people just acting out of out of character, which is why we want to always do this in the buddy system. But for instance, like I just told you guys, like I fall to pieces if I see a cockroach. I'm not going to mess with it. If all of a sudden I'm going to try and I see like something infested with them and I'm going there like, that's not her. Like something's up here, you know. You want to kind of watch for these kinds of things, but usually it really starts, especially in the actual investigation, as like an emotional outburst. When you see that happen, that's when you need your teammates to pull you outside of the location. The first thing that I do is give them cold water and have them hold a piece of iron. So in my ghost hunting kit, I have what's called the oh shit kit, which is oh shit, something's wrong. And we have black salt, holy water, sea salt, railroad spikes that you can hold onto them because they're old pieces of iron. Iron grounds you down.
I didn't know that.
So if you ever, like, especially with what's going on with you, with like you're sleeping, if you woke up and you're kind of getting your wits about you, I would just grab something that's iron or go wash your hands in really icy cold water. It helps bring you right back down. Florida water will be in there, and so would black tourmaline. That's
Florida water?
Florida water.
Why Florida water?
It's actually made in New York too. It's not even made in Florida.
It's called Florida water.
It's called Florida water. Florida water is, well, it's kind of like a type of cologne. So you can actually find it even at like a drugstore now, like of all things. So you don't have to go.
Dragons and Florida water? Like, I'm learning so much today.
And it smells really nice.
But like, what's in it and what's the purpose?
It's floral water. So it's a bunch of different botanicals. So there's different recipes, but there is like a main company that like makes Florida water that we're all very familiar with. Well, most people are familiar with, and it is getting more popular today. It's used in a lot of different traditions. We see it used a lot in like hoodoo and Santeria, and it's for protection, for cleansing, for warding, but it's also used as offerings to spirits and used in ancestral work. We see people that do shamanic healings will actually use it and like spit it on you because it can be used for cleansing that way. There's two different kinds. There's the green Florida water that you can't put in your mouth, and there's the yellow that healers will use. They'll put it in their mouth and spit it on you. You have friends that
spit it on you.
Right. You have friends that are shamanic, though. Have you ever had like an experience with that? Though?
I actually have Florida water, and it sits in my home. I have it in my closet at a very specific point. I don't know why.
But it's not like the spitting kind.
I don't. But I haven't spit it at anybody yet. But I can see it coming in my future. Get ready for.
I'd be mad. I'd be like, don't spit on me.
I feel like there's a certain finesse to that I haven't quite gotten to.
Right.
But,
It would kind of just spray everywhere and not have any direction.
You know what? I'll have my friend like give us a demonstration about that. But that's an actual thing. Like certain healers and practices, that's what they use it for. So I have used it in these moments, and it can be because it's protective. It can be because, especially if you work with your ancestors, this might also be in line with that, which is tying into that kind of protection. But these are things that you want to look for, like in an investigation. If you start seeing people act this way, we have to be like, okay, they might be having a psychic attack.
And so what is a psychic attack? It's like when the spirit tries to take you over, or they're trying to express themselves.
Or they're just messing with you. Yeah, or they're messing with you. There's been times that
they're bored, or
they're bored. One time I accidentally walked in on a ritual. It was like in this outdoor place I was investigating. I didn't realize, and I mean, like the tea lights were still lit, like the whole thing was there. So I probably broke their circle. And so when you do that, you're kind of letting everything else in. So I don't know if I was attacked because I just broke a circle, or if it was something that they were specifically doing in the ritual. But I mean, I couldn't breathe anymore. Like it was like a panic attack where I was like doing one of those. And finally, my friend realized what was happening. And I mean, the crappy thing about that was like we were down at like the bottom of a dam. She had to hike me back up a mountain, and then she just sat me right on like the street just to like put my hands there to just ground me right back out, which is what I needed in that moment. But this is, again, why buddy systems are so important, because I didn't have the faculties to think to do that myself in that moment. You do still want to be aware of psychic attack at home, though. Nightmares, reoccurring dreams, still mood swings, bad luck, things like this happening. Or if all of a sudden, like, you're walking down the street and you have every crazy person that's on drugs come up and like kind of attack you and hassle you, you know. But if like, because it's LA, that's going to happen probably at least once a day. But if all of a sudden you can't leave your house without it happening like 4 times, there's something wrong. Yeah. So I've even had like cars lock me out of them. And I'm like, I have something attached to me. Like, and so that's when you know you have to go and kind of like focus a little bit more on spiritual hygiene. But I feel like that's an important thing. But I think if you set your intention and you're mindful, to go back to what you're saying, you can be protective and still have your experience. Just set your intention that you're careful and just be polite.
Yeah. Well, you know, stress, if people allow themselves to get stressed, that will be a magnet for the chaotic energy that it vibrates with. And I've noticed that it's the moment. That's why I really work to not let myself get stressed, because a darker energy will work with me in those moments. And I literally go, nope, I don't. I'm like, I have to like hone my stress in, because if I feel that, I will turn into something else, and I have to be really responsible for it and clear my field, talk to whatever it is to disengage, because I can tell when it happens just like that. So it's just something good to be aware of when you do have mood swings or anxiety. That's where it really shows up with me, when I'm like, oh, something's happening. So something's going to take place, because there's spirits already engaging with me, because it shows up as anxiety. It's wild. Speaking of spirits.
Yeah.
Listen, I know somebody.
I know.
That
we're so
wants.
rude. We haven't even introduced
I'm
our
surprised
guest.
she's like the lights like keep on and all that.
Right.
Because she loves attention.
She does. So this is Stephanie, my haunted doll. I brought her with us. I brought her with us. I brought her with me today to come on the show. She's met you before, Alexander.
Many times.
Yeah, many times. We've gone to the Abbey and hung out with
Yep.
her. You insulted her and she turned off your microphone or something.
Yeah, and like the lights blow out. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've had interesting things happen with her. She was kind of insulted a little while ago before this started, so I was kind of worried. I was like, oh, I don't know how she's going to be today, but she's been cool.
I
so.
heard that too, and I was like, she better stop saying that.
Yeah, like you could feel the energy shift. But this is Stephanie. So I actually got Stephanie from some friends from back in the day that had like a thrift store kind of thing, like a vintage store. And they got her at an estate sale with a bunch of stuff. And at first they didn't realize like anything was up until one of the people in the couple that is very psychically sensitive but untrained started having all of the signs of psychic attacks. Her anxiety went through the roof. Her depression went through the roof. She was crying all the time, didn't want to leave the house. She told me later she was having like suicidal ideations. And so they called me. They're like, something's up. One of her friends had come over to hang out with them. They actually lived in the shop that they had like in a separate room, like a little housing situation. So a friend came over to hang out. And when the friend left, she was like so overcome with sadness that she actually had to pull over to cry because she was just so sad. So we figured out that it was all centered from this doll. And through working with her, we've learned that her name's Stephanie, and we've learned that she's actually not mean, like, and she doesn't mean to make people sad. It's that she was sad because she wanted friends. She likes attention. She likes friends. So we gave her a friend. She's got her little turtle buddy that is with her at all times. I've actually brought other haunted dolls into my home that I actually had to rehome because Stephanie didn't want them in the house. So she's an only child.
I get that energy.
Yeah.
Now, do you communicate with her? Like, how do you get these feelings, or how do you come to these realizations?
I've been lucky enough that she has been a very social spirit. So I have been able to sit down and have mediumship sessions with her to find out a lot of these things. And because I do teach ghost hunting workshops and seances and things, and I know that she is a safe spirit to work with as long as everybody is polite, I take her with me. So we've been able to communicate with her through spirit boards, through EVPs, through the ghost box, and all of these things. And it's great because there's been times that I haven't even shared everything that I know about her, and it'll come up on a ghost box, or somebody else will pick up on it. Like, we do know that the person the person's spirit that is Stephanie is about 40 to 45 years old. We know that she did have like she was on the spectrum, and she did have challenges and more of like a mindset of like a 12-year-old or so. So there's a lot of childlike qualities here. We know that she was also from about like the 50s or 60s, as they think, when like her life took place or when she passed away. I'm a little unclear on that, but the people that actually found the doll actually found pictures of the person as a child on Halloween. Like, so there, I've actually seen a picture of the actual Stephanie. There is no like confirmation on her name. This was the name that I got, and a lot of other people have picked up for her. And she just wants friends. She wasn't treated very well when she was alive. And I think it's because at the time there was a very huge like lack of understanding and, you know, mental health care and all of these things. So I think I would hope that her life would be a lot different now. Over time, I've had people that have tried to cross her over and stuff like that, and she always comes back. But I will say, I don't think she's attached to the doll is and she's stuck now. And I feel like this is a more recent thing because there has been times that I've picked up the doll and I haven't felt anything. But I do feel like she is here today, and I think she was really excited to come back because it's been a minute since she's been able to be very social, but she did just have her Pacific Northwest tour. She came with me and got to see Washington and Portland. She's traveled all over the East Coast with me and things like that. So she is very social. She likes attention and she likes to play.
Do you know where Stephanie came from?
She is from, I want to say, it's like the greater LA area. So I want to say that
So
I think
from
she was
here,
found
though.
like around like Whittier, Temple City maybe. But yeah, she's an LA native.
I love that.
Yeah. So she's a little worse for the wear now. She has some water damage from a flood that's happened, and she lost a shoe at the airport because sometimes we, even in death, can be a little bit of a hot mess, you know?
Trying to get to that flight, girl.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that we can maybe give her a little bit of a glow up to make her feel better, but I think she's very excited to be out today.
It's so interesting. So the spirit of Stephanie, you know, did she, so this picture that was uncovered, did she live here in this area? Is it just the doll that's from this area?
No,
or
the
is
person. The person is from, I believe the doll itself is handmade. So someone must have handmade the doll for her. But it was a picture of her with, I think, like 3 other kids, like all various ages, but like in the same generation.
Yeah.
So it's probably like siblings or cousins. I want to say it was probably cousins or something, because when she was found at the estate sale, it's because the actual owner like didn't have any descendants to pass anything down to.
Yeah.
So that's how the estate sale all kind of came to be, because there was no one to claim anything. So I think the neighbor actually kind of helped organize a lot of it. So do you want to hold her?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. I
So
don't know why I feel such a I don't know why I feel such a connection to Stephanie, but I'm like, oh, how do you like to be held?
She just doesn't like to lay down.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to lay you down. And I want everybody to see you.
I feel like she's smiling though. She's like, hey.
I know, like, I don't know.
She loves attention.
There's
Yeah.
something I was asking those questions too, because there's something I was feeling in my body about Stephanie, and that's why I was like, there's something, I don't know, you would know history. And
When she decides to connect with you though, she really does. And it really is something like, when it comes down to it, we're talking about somebody that in life did not have friends, did not have the human connection that they wanted and wasn't understood. So I feel like, as someone that is the keeper of the doll now, I try and help facilitate that so that at least her spirit can have that fulfillment of connection with people now.
Yeah. There's, you know what's interesting? There's a women's, in where I live in Montrose, there's an old women's mental health space that they kind of closed down, but they would use it as a museum at some point to give tours. But I don't know why I feel so connected to that place as well. I don't know how long it's been, but I know that I have a past life around as a woman in the 50s time era. I've seen it. It was my last past life that I saw in a regression, and so I just, little pieces of that kind of time frame come back together a little bit. But I know that's why I love living out there, is because I lived there as a woman back in the 50s. I know it sounds so wild and weird, but that's why there's something around helping people and something around this whole story that I feel very connected to.
Maybe we need to take Stephanie to Montrose, because I feel like you're picking up on something about where she's from.
I'm feeling it literally in my body, and it's literally, I feel it throughout my entire body. That's why and I was asking questions during, but I don't know. I don't, just based off of what I start asking and receiving, I love concrete evidence as well. So I don't know, but this is so special. I don't know.
So, and what is the point of Stephanie being in the doll? She just likes to hang out. Will there come a time where she's like, okay, I've had enough playtime, and then she can go on to the other side?
You know what? I hope so. I really do. I think a lot of people, when they own haunted objects, it becomes look at this, look at my and it's like on display. And I mean, I can see where that might come off with what I do, because I bring her places, but I also bring her places for her to socialize, but also the awareness of you can facilitate healing with spirits in the afterlife too, because we still need healing. And I hope that's what I'm doing. So I do hope at some point she will say, I've had enough, like, peace out. I've had what I need, and I hope I can give that to her. I think we're getting there, because like I said, like, there has been times that I haven't sensed her presence anymore. And I think the spirit kind of comes and goes. So at least we know that she has crossed over then, right? And she's not stuck, but I do think she still comes to hang out once in a while. But yeah, I think that's like an important thing. And even with any ghost hunting, a lot of people they want the experiences, and that's fine. But, you know, going back to like the at-home ghost hunting, before you start, you should ask yourself, like, what is your goal? Like, there's no wrong answer. Just know your answer. If it's just to have an experience and, you know, kind of have the thrill of it, that's wonderful, because it is quite thrilling when something happens. But are you there to help the living that are dealing with it? Are you there to help the dead crossover? Like, where is your level of wanting to be involved? Because it will also show you what kind of things you should investigate, what cases you can take on, and what kind of education and experience you need to get for yourself to get to that level too.
This has been a full chat.
I know. We just went to all sorts of places. Well, I think we'll have to revisit with Stephanie, and I don't know how you feel about Ouija boards, but I have a feeling you and me can play.
I've heard nothing but
Ouija board.
Awful things about Ouija board.
Really?
Like, once you use a Ouija board for the first time, you're just inviting, and it could be from the movies and the ghost stories that we've heard. Just have heard so much that you're bringing this weird energy out to the open, and it clings to you.
Well, with Shaman Durek, the first day I met him, actually, it was at an art studio. It was like a small group of maybe less than 20 people, and there was a Ouija board that was made out of, like, the artist had made it, so it had engraving. It was like in a beautiful marble. It had gold engraving, and we were like, yeah, let's use this. So we started to use it, and as we did, we started to get these names, and Shaman Dork was like, wait, what are your names? And then, they gave us basic human names, and he goes, well, what are you? Are you ancestors for somebody here? And they said no. And then Matt was sitting next to me, and other friends were sitting next to me, and I was like, it's angels. I was like, it's angels. Watch. And then he was like, okay, are you spirits that are just traveling in? They said no. He kept asking questions, and then he said, well, what are you? And they started to spell out angels. I was like, I told you. So there were 3 angels. I'm telling the story so you can see that these 3 angels were there naturally to kind of watch over the communication that was taking place within the board. Probably because you have very powerful people that were sitting around that with a lot of angelic frequency. There were artists that channel Lundub Studio. They channel incredible cosmic energy. And then you have Shaman Durek, you have all these artists. So I feel like that those angels were there naturally. Now you can call upon energies that will help facilitate your communication with spirit through that. And I think it'd be so much fun for us to do it. And I think we'll change your whole dynamic.
We'll try.
I'm not for doing it here. I don't want it like in my house.
Oh, no. No. You never play with ghosts in your own home. Like, you don't do it because you're going to open up portals, you're going to do weird stuff, then your chairs are going to knock over and your seltzer cans are going to twist around. Like, you just don't do it. But one thing I do want to say is this whole time that we've been sitting here, I've been getting really weird smells since this started, where first I smelled like someone's breath and I was like, oh, someone's breathing on me. And then I smelled someone's cologne. And now I can smell makeup, like you know, like powdered, like drugstore makeup, like that's, I can smell it.
Wow.
Like,
I'm
so
not
the
wearing
smells
any
are changing.
smells.
I'm not wearing anything.
I don't know what it is.
But ever since I had COVID, I have zero taste and smell.
Still?
We're talking like a year and a half now.
Wow.
My strega self, I'm like, you can't taste garlic bread
I know.
anymore?
Oh no.
But so like I still have cravings though, which is the awful thing. Like my stupid craving is orange chicken from Panda Express. Like, and it was National Orange Chicken Day on Monday. So the craving is there, and then I got it. Couldn't taste anything.
Even like, can you taste like spice, like strong taste? Or?
Yeah, so like I put tapatio on everything, and like those red chili flakes, even on my eggs, just so I can taste something.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like the texture. So like when I eat a hamburger, I know that it's a good hamburger because of the texture, but not because I'm tasting it. And my sense of smell through the roof. Like I mean, like nothing. So
that's so bizarre.
And it freaks me out because I'm like, you know, I can't smell if like the milk has gone bad, or I can't smell if somebody is stinky.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I'm really self-conscious about it too, because I'm like, am I sweating? Like, am I like, I have no clue.
Wow.
No.
Have you tried like acupuncture for that or something?
No.
I mean, like, I don't know why that's where my brain went, but I'm like, I'm sure you've tried other like more conventional things. Maybe you need someone to spit some Florida water on.
Oh yeah, let me go get it. Yellow. The yellow guy.
The yellow one, yeah.
Let me go get it.
Well, I feel like I mean, obviously, there's just so many things that we're going to explore because really no stone will be left unturned. I think we've even just went from talking about ghost encounters to ghost hunting to dragons to astral projection.
I'm going to do some research on this dragon shit because we'll see.
Have fun. Ask to see one in your dreams.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what you come back
That'd
with,
be
Khaleesi.
awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Stephanie, for being such a good girl.
They're very well behaved.
Don't forget to go to queerfromtheotherside.com. Come interact with us, join the community, see what's going on. You can write us at queerfromtheotherside@gmail.com. If you want to share your own experiences or have questions for any of us, we would love to hear them. And, you can always check us out on Instagram and TikTok and all of the things. We're kind of all over the place.
And we have some really fun things that we'll be bringing to you. So.
And if you guys want to see the clip of the can, it actually is on our Instagram and TikTok. So you guys can go look at it and tell me what you guys think about that as well. I'd love to hear everyone's opinion.
And I want you to post that about the green and the orange people.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
I gotta
can
look.
you?
I gotta look that up.
Yeah.
It should be in my text messages. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm accidentally going to be attracting a lot of stuff now because I want more.
Hey, I'm
more
afraid to get your
evidence.
text messages though because
Oh my gosh.
she sent us a text by accident and we're like, oh, that's interesting.
Whoopsie daisy. And I thought I copied and pasted something else. Well,
I'm like, whoa.
it was Stephanie. It wasn't my fault. That was all Stephanie,
That's
okay?
awesome. She's like, these guys are gonna love this.
Yeah. These gays.
Boo. All right, guys. Well, until next time and until next text message, we'll see you later. Thank you so much. Bye. That was another episode of Queer from the Other Side.
Please like, share, review, and subscribe.
Until next time, stay curious.